Good morning, I'm a forester here, and today I'm going to be talking about my Spyderco Sage knives. Now I have two of them. This is the Sage 1. This was the very first one that was brought to market by Spyderco several years ago, and I'm sure there are plenty of reviews out there that give a lot of specifications about the Sage 1. I'm just going to give you my impressions. Now I have two Sage knives. The other one, and the first one that I bought, is the Sage 4. The latest one that's come out. Well, I'll correct that. There is one that's out since the Sage 4, and that's the bolt action, the Sage 3 in carbon fiber. And so I'm looking forward to finding out more about that knife. I noticed it was just out, and I saw the first advertisements. You know, I was attracted to the Sage 4 first. As a forester, I'm into wood. I love wood, and this has desert ironwood scales, and so that's why I bought this one first. The Sage 4 does have some negatives. It's heavy. It's compared to the other Sages. It's 4.2 ounces versus 3.2 ounces on the Sage 1. And so it does have some disadvantages. It's also the action, I think, is a little bit stiffer, and it's not as much fun to play with because that mid backlock mechanism is just not as easy to open and close to operate as is the liner lock. I will say that I find of all the different locking mechanisms, I find the liner lock probably to be my favorite. It's easier to use than a frame lock. Now the bolt action is also very easy to use, and that would rank right up there, but I think I like the liner lock probably the best of any of the different locking mechanisms that are featured on these Sage series. Let me get rid of I'm not going to get rid of it, I'm just going to take it off camera of the Sage 4, and let's focus more on the Sage 1. There's a lot of similarities between the Sages in blade shape, handle shape, the overall length of the knife. Like I say, the main difference is in the locking mechanism and sometimes the handle materials. Now this handle material is one of my favorites if it's not natural wood, but this is weave carbon fiber, and this is the best example of carbon fiber that I have. In fact, I think I only have one other knife. It's a Benchmade that has carbon fiber handles, and I like this much better. It's a softer, a warmer type of handle material, and I've always been attracted to it. This is the first knife that I've had that was a full-size knife that had carbon fiber. The blade and the blade shape, let me talk about that just a little bit. Let me see if I can get a close-up of it. Like I say, this is made by Spyderco. It's S30V, which is a US steel. I guess you can see that there. This is a leaf shape or modified spear point. On the back side it says it's made in Taiwan. And this is a very high quality knife. You know, just because a knife is made overseas doesn't mean it's not high quality. And I love that Spidey hole. I didn't like it at first, but I've gotten used to it. It's grown on me, and I really like it. I haven't touched up this blade. Let me move my coffee and bring some paper on. I will do a cut test. This is a forestry paper that I get once a month. It's called the Forestry Source. And well, here's an article about what we expect lumber prices to do, and it's generally go up as housing recovers. But I haven't touched up this blade at all since I've had it, and it does retain an edge. I really like S30V, and let's just see what it does. I won't cut into that chart because I want to read that article later. I haven't read it yet. All right, and I'll bring the coffee back. That's my trademark, is a cup of coffee. I probably drink a pot of coffee in the morning and then another couple of cups during the day. Well, let me get into a few more specifics about the Sage 1 besides the handle material and the blade shape. It is a liner lock, as I mentioned, and if you can see that, it does have fairly early lockup. I've not had any problem whatsoever with this knife sticking. Now the action is a little gritty right now. I haven't lubricated this prior to the review. And I'm not going to demonstrate flicking a knife open. Generally, I don't open one that way. I would like for this to be a little looser because I like for it to fall naturally to about there, and this one doesn't do that. Some of my knives do. So the action is a little tight. I could lubricate it and probably get it a little looser. Sometimes I don't show this very well, but I'll try to show that it's very well centered. I don't think it could be any better. Sometimes the camera doesn't pick that up, but you can take my word for it. It's a very comfortable size, and if the handle will cover my hand, the palm of my hand, that generally fits me very well. It's got a nice finger choil right there, and you can move up to the forward finger choil, so I have plenty of real estate to grip the knife. It's got jimping. I can show that this way. It's got jimping on this thumb ramp, and it's also got jimping down here in this forward finger choil. So the knife is very stable in my hand. I love the pocket clip. These wire pocket clips are my favorite. I think I can say that. And it's got very deep carry. Only this would show sticking out of my pocket. Now it is reversible for left-hand carry, but it isn't on both ends, so it's always going to be tip up, which is my preferred way of carrying. Let me bring back the Sage 4 for just a few more points. What are the main differences between these knives besides the handle materials and the locking mechanism? Well, the biggest difference is weight. As I may have said, the Sage 4 is 4.2 ounces, the Sage 1 is 3.2, and that 1 ounce difference, it does make a difference. You can tell that in your hand. As far as how I use the knives, I do carry both. In fact, I don't have a Safe Queen that I don't carry. I carry both of these, but to be honest, the Sage 1 is the knife that I carry the most of these two. I see this more as a general purpose EDC knife. It's not a tactical folder by any means for me, but it is a general purpose EDC knife, and I think its lighter weight and easier operation make it more user friendly for me. I love the Sage 4, and I might keep that one longer than I would keep the Sage 1. But the Sage 4 I view more as a collectible knife. I do carry it, but I baby it just a little bit more than I do the Sage 1. And I think that's because I'm trying to protect the wood handle scales. Let me bring out some other competitive options, because just comparing a Sage to a Sage is like that Toyota commercial where you compare one Toyota to another, one Camry to another. Let's bring out another vehicle to compare these two, or another knife, I mean. And this is one that everybody knows. It's the Kershaw Skyline, and they're very comparable in size. The blade lengths are, the Skyline might be just a little bit larger, but I would say these are very comparable knives. If you're familiar with the Skyline, you know about what the Sage is going to be like in length. This is the Spyderco Delica, very comparable. And then one that's a little bit larger is this one, and this is my favorite fondling knife, but this is the CRKT Ripple. Now, these knives are at an angle, so you may not be able to get too good a comparison, but the Ripple is a slimmer knife, but the blade length is a little bit longer. All of these are, I would say, comparable EDC knives. Well, there you have it. I'm looking forward to continuing collecting the Sage series. I got a late start on that. I did have an opportunity a couple of times to buy the whole set and from used knives from a previous knife owner, and I didn't pull the trigger fast enough. So I'll be getting them one by one. You'll see the Sage 2 and Sage 3 come later, maybe over the course of this year. And then I'll do a review of all the Sage knives. Y'all take care. Have a good day.